Hello folks, the Atari 7800 Junkie back with you once again with another episode of the Gaming Penthouse Show. And on this week's episode I'm going to be showing off my entire Atari collection. But before, of course, that, I'll get to my pickups for the week, or I should just say pick up, because there's only one. And it is for the Atari 2600. It is Taz. No end label. Now this game was known as Asterix and featured a different character, Asterix, of course, over in the English market, but they changed the sprite to the Tasmanian Devil here for the United States market because we really don't know what Asterix is here. So, you know. Also want to give the congratulations once again to Alex Randomness for winning my contest last week. I still have not sent out the package yet, but I will hopefully be able to send it out. It's probably going to be another week. Kind of don't have the money to be mailing anything right now, at least until I get paid next Thursday. So I just wanted to give him an update on that. So now, without further ado, we are now going to move on into my entire Atari collection, which I actually filmed before I picked this up, so this won't be in it. But you'll see all the rest of my games for my 2600, my 7800, and yes, 4 games for the XEGS coming up right now. So I'm going to start with my first game, Adventure, picture label, Adventures of Tron from M Network, Air Raiders from INTV Corp, originally from the M Network, which would be Mattel Electronics, by the way. Air Sea Battle, the label's ripped on the front there. Arcade Pinball, which is Sears' version of Video Pinball. Asteroids, picture label. Astro Blast from the M Network. Atlantis. Barnstorming. Basic Math, picture label. Or text label, I'm sorry. Basic Programming, picture label, no end label though. Basketball, picture label, end label's kind of damaged there. Battle Zone. Beam Rider from Activision. Beanie Bopper from 20th Century Fox. Bermuda Triangle from Data Age. Berserk, one of the best games on the 2600. Big Bird's Egg Catch. Blackjack text label. End label obviously is gone. BMX Airmaster, the end label again is messed up there. Boxing in the blue text label from Activision. Brain Games picture label. Breakout picture label. Burger Time. California Games. Canyon Bomber text label. Carnival from Coleco. Casino text label. Centipede, another classic game. Championship Soccer text label. A Defender clone here, Chopper Command. Atari Leaf's favorite 2600 game, Circus Atari. I think that's Marlon Lee's favorite as well. Coconuts, and a weird cartridge here. Code Breaker, Sears version. The rarest game on the Atari, Combat. Yeah, right. Commando from Activision. Commando Raid from Quaker Oats. At least Quaker Oats owned US games. Cookie Monster Munch. Cosmic Ark with a damaged label. Crackpots. Thanks Miller for writing your name on it. Crossbow. Crypts of Chaos from 20th Century Fox. Crystal Castles, which sadly is not as good as the arcade version. Dark Cavern from the M Network. Dark Chambers, which is actually kind of boring. Deadly Duck, damaged label, 20th Century Fox. Defender, one of the best games on the 2600, and I think this one makes it even better. Defender 2, another great game. Demon Attack from Magic. Demons to Diamonds, picture label. Desert Falcon. Dig Dug, the Namco classic. Dodge'em, text label. Donkey Kong from Coleco. Donkey Kong Jr., also a Coleco cart. Double Donk. Dragonfire from Magic. Another game from Activision, Dragster. Everyone's favorite on the Atari. Yeah, E.T. Yuck. Egomania from Quaker Oats US Games. Here's a really good game, Enduro. I think it takes the pole position formula and makes it better. Fishing Derby, pretty mundane game from Activision. Flag Capture text label. Football text label. It's actually funner than real sports football. Freeway, which is kind of a Frogger clone. Speaking of Frogger, there is Frogger. Of course, everyone's gotta have that. Frogs and Flies from the M Network, which is just like Frog Bog on the television. Frontline, another Coleco cart. Frostbite, which is kind of like a Hubert clone, kind of. G.I. Joe Cobra Strike, which is actually pretty disappointing. Galaxian, which I actually like better than the arcade original. Ghostbusters, which a lot of people deride, but I think for what it does on the Atari, it's pretty good. Now, the NES version, no. Golf. Another pretty fun game here. Gorf from CBS. Yes, CBS used to make games. Gravatar, red label. Sadly, not the rare silver label. Hero is not the best label, especially the end part there, but it's a very fun game. Gunslinger, which is the Sears version of Outlaw. Haunted House, which is more fun than the Wii remake of it. Home Run. I love the commercial for Home Run because it has Pete Rose in it. I Want My Mommy. No end label there. Ice Hockey, which is a pretty fun hockey game. Indy 500, the one and only game that uses the driving controllers. Journey Escape, another disappointing game, but hey, at least it's part of Don't Stop Believing It. Joust, which is a pretty interesting version if you ever get to try it out. Junior Pac-Man, which some people say is better than Ms. Pac-Man, but I'm not one of them. Jungle Hunt, pretty fun arcade conversion there. A Taito game. Kaboom, one of the best paddle games on the Atari 2600. Kangaroo, which my end label literally just flew off of it as I picked it up. It's like I need to glue that sucker back on. Keystone Capers, which has more problems with the label than Kangaroo did. King Kong, which I don't know if you can see, they actually put two labels up here, but then my end label's missing. Based on the major motion picture, Kroll. Yeah, I've never seen the movie either. Kung Fu Master, which I think looks pretty good, even compared to the NES Kung Fu, which is actually the same game. Laser Blast, which basically is a reverse Space Invaders. You actually play as one of the invaders. It's not that fun. Laser Gates, another Magic game. Lock and Chase, a pretty fun Pac-Man clone from M Network. Lost Luggage from Apollo. Mad, nothing to do with Mad Magazine though. MASH, which is actually based off the movie, not the TV show. And it's not that fun anyways. Now here is a fun game, Mario Brothers. Maze Craze, a game of cops and robbers. Mega Force from 20th Century Fox. Mega Mania, a space nightmare, another fun game. And here's a fun pinball game, Midnight Magic Another great arcade game here, better than the predecessor. It's Millipede. Again, better than Centipede there. Miniature Golf. Yeah, I'm sure that's fun. Sears version of Missile Command. Another good arcade game on the 2600. Moon Patrol. Moonsweeper, which actually kind of has a nice 3D effect when you go over top of planets. You gotta try that one out. Mouse Trap. Another Coleco cart here that was a bonus cartridge included with the Gemini purchase. I wonder if Atari Leaf has this on his version of Mousetrap. Because he has the Coleco Gemini. That's the only reason I say that. Ms. Pac-Man, which is my second favorite arcade converted game on the 2600. Name This Game, which I believe ended up being called Octopus for European regions. Night Driver, which doesn't use the driving controllers. No Escape. Off the Wall, which actually uses the breakout formula, but does not use the paddle controllers. The only game I've ever known to be based off of the Three Little Pigs story, Oink. Omega Race, which has to use a special booster grip controller, which I do not have, so I've never been able to try that game. Othello. Outer Space, which I'm not exactly sure what game that is from Atari. Outlaw. Sears like to rename games a lot. Pac-Man, and yes, this label's beat up a bit, but it's the one that Molly used to play, along with the Defender and Asteroids that I showed. So, Pele Soccer, which is the exact same game as Championship Soccer. A Sega game converted by Atari, Pango, and label there is kind of messed up. Here's my favorite sports game on the 2600, Pete Rose Baseball. Very, very fun. Phoenix. Pigs in Space, starring Miss Piggy. Pitfall. Pitfall Harry's Jungle Adventure. And then my favorite game on any Atari system, Pitfall 2 Lost Caverns. You're gonna play pole position! With the misspelling there on the end, by the way. Classic Nintendo game, Popeye. I gotta get the NES version of that. Actually, I gotta get the NES version of this, too, Cubert. Or the ColecoVision version, it's either one of those. A game that I think is the rarest in my collection, Quest for Quintana Roo. Just says Quest in the end. And if one of my other games is more rare, let me know. But I think that is the rarest. Racquetball. And maybe it's Racquetball, who knows. Radar Lock. Raiders of the Lost Ark. Real Sports Baseball. That's not fun. Real Sports Boxing. That's not fun. Real Sports Football. That's not fun. Real Sports Tennis. That is fun. Revenge of the Beefsteak Tomatoes from 20th Century Fox. Riddle of the Sphinx. Great vertical shooter here. River Raid. Robot Tank, which is kind of like Battlezone. I do prefer Battlezone though. Some people prefer Robot Tank instead. Seahawk, my only game from Froggo Games. Sequest from Activision. Secret Quest, which says it's from No One But Snow. I need to do a crappy video game review of that someday. Shark Attack. That game's also known as Lockjaw. I think the Lockjaw version is more rare. Shooting Gallery. Skateboarding. I went skydiving. Okay, I should never sing again. Remind me to never sing again. Skyjinx. Late at night, forgive me. Slot Racers, picture label there. Smurf Rescue in Gargamel's Castle, which is more detailed on ColecoVision, but even the Atari version is pretty good. Sneak and Peek from VidTech, which is another Quaker Oats company. Solar Fox from CBS Electronics. Solaris, great late release for the Atari. Space Attack. Space Cavern, which, yeah, that sounds terrible, but it works. Space Invaders, text label. Space Invaders, picture label. Space Invaders, Sears picture label. Space Invaders, silver label. And Space Invaders, red label, which means I need to get the Sears text label. Now I have all 6 variations of that game. That's the only one I actually wanted variations of, too. Space Jockey. Space War. That might be the Outer Space. I'm not sure, though. Space Chase, which luckily does not sound like Space Cavern did. It says Hangman, but if it had the end label, it would actually say Spelling from Sears. But that is the same game as Hangman from Atari. Spider Fighter. Spider-Man. Sprint Master, which is a pretty good late release game as well. Snake, which is a terrible game. I actually dislike that more than E.T. Stampede, or Pac-Man for that matter. Star Raiders, the one that I opened up out of the box previously. Star Voyager, and as such is my best looking game in my collection. Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back. Yep, some rattle in there. Stargate, which is the same game as Defender 2. Star Master, another Activision goodie there. Street Racer, text label with the number there. Summer Games. Surround. Great paddle game here as well, Super Breakout. Super Challenge Football. A game that, who was it? Somebody said this was the worst side-scrolling shooter they've ever seen. I disagree. I kind of like Super Cobra. It's not the best, but it's not the worst either. Now I remember who said it. Stan Birdman. Stan Birdman. You can go to hell. Super Football. Superman text label. Sword Quest Earthworld. Sword Quest Fireworld. Sadly, no Sword Quest Waterworld that I did have in my collection once, but I've talked about that before. Tax Scan from Sega. And the only other Sega cartridge I have is Tapper, but that's a damn good game, I'll tell you what. If you haven't played Tapper, you gotta go play Tapper. Target Fun, which is the same game as Air Sea Battle. Tennis, which is just as fun as real sports tennis. They look virtually the same, except, of course, that one had the Activision logo on the bottom. The Activision Decathlon. Title Match Pro Wrestling. You know, as a wrestling fan, I want to like that, but it's not that good. Towering Inferno. Trick Shot. Here's a good one. Tron Deadly Disc. I want the Intellivision version of that, though. Turmoil from 20th Century Fox. Tatankum. I believe that is how you pronounce that. Vanguard, another great shooter. And it actually has kind of a continue feature in there, which is not bad. Venture, the red label, as opposed to the Coleco original. Video Chess, picture label. Video Olympics, picture label. Video Pinball picture label, which has capitalized writing there and lowercase writing there. Elmer Fudd's favorite game, Wabbit. Warlords, the best 4-player paddle game on the 2600. Winter Games. Another great game, Wizard of War. The arcade version is better, but that's not a bad version at all. Word Zapper. And finally, the last game in my 2600 collection, the Sears version of Yar's Revenge. Alright, here's my 7800 collection. Ace of Aces. Asteroids. A great game that it's kind of like soccer actually. Ball Blazer. Great conversion of this. Centipede. Shoplifter, which other people find really fun, but I don't know, I don't really get into it. Crossbow. Game I got in the trade from Atari Leaf once. Dark Chambers. Because I liked it better. Desert Falcon. Dig Dug. I actually like the 2600 version better than that. But then there's Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong Jr., which are both fantastic versions of them. The only third-party game I have on my 7800, Double Dragon. Fight Night, which has nothing to do with the EA Sports boxing series. Food Fight, which is my second favorite game on the entire 7800. Galaga. Well, no, I take it back. Food Fight's my third favorite. Galaga's my second favorite. Hat Trick, which is a pretty poor hockey game. I'd rather play ice hockey on the 2600. Jinx, which is kind of a puzzle game. Joust, which looks very close to the arcade version. Karateka or Karateka or something like that. It's a terrible game though. Mario Brothers, which is another fantastic port. That's another game I'll play for a long time. Ms. Pac-Man, which is my favorite game on the entire 700. One-on-one basketball featuring Dr. J and Larry Bird. Planet Smashers, which is a pretty good vertical shooter. You can't let anything go by you, or it actually damages the planet that you're trying to protect, which is Earth. Pole Position 2. Real Sports Baseball, which isn't as good as the 2600 version of Pete Rose Baseball. Robotron 2084. There's a must-have on the 700. Super Huey UH-IX, which is, a helicopter flight simulator, and I don't really like it too much. Touchdown Football, which is actually developed by Electronic Arts, the precursor to Madden, and it sucks. Tower Toppler, which is a pretty interesting game there. Winter Games. And finally, it's dangerous, it's devious, no, it's Xevious. And then, my last 4 games are for the Atari XE game system, Blue Max, Bug Hunt, Flight Simulator 2, and Hardball. So this is September 27th when I recorded all these videos. I don't know when it will show up on the Gaming Penthouse Show, but it'll show up in a week where I don't really have very many pickups and I have a short show. So this will make a short show become a long show. Anyways, on with the show. Alright folks, this is the part of the show where I'm going to respond to EdT1138's Top 3 Tuesday question. This week it was asked by Mr. Dude 206, and he asked, who are your top 3 video game heroines or female characters? Well, I guess in video games. So, mine's actually going to be a top 4, but you'll see why. 2 of them are, kind of a duo that you can't really separate here. Might surprise some people. But number 3 is somebody that I played with a lot in Super Mario Bros. 2, and I don't have Super Mario Bros. 2. And she's barely on this cartridge. It's in Super Mario All-Stars. It's Princess Peach Toadstool. Which, yeah, I don't know if you can even see her at all. Very tiny on the cartridge, and my thing doesn't focus, so probably don't see her. But I used her. She's my favorite character in Super Mario Bros. 2, obviously because of the floating. And she's actually a surprisingly good character in Super Smash Bros. Which, actually, let me take a look at something. Maybe is she on the cover of either one of these? Yeah, there she is. Better picture of Peach there. So, she might even be on This one, no, just a little square with her eyes there. But anyways, yes, Peach, surprising character in the Smash Brothers series. Wonderful to use in Super Mario Brothers 2, and I'm sure I've never played Super Princess Peach on the DS, but it's actually a game I want based on how she controls in Super Mario Brothers 2, even though I know that game is completely different. Now, number 2, this is the reason why it's going to be a top 4 instead of a top 3, but you can't have one without the other, and it is Mabel and Sable from Animal Crossing. Yes, they are female porcupines, hedgehogs, something. But in Animal Crossing, you go to their store to be able to make your own designs in the game, and I can't tell you how many times I've went there to make my designs. I can't remember, one of them, Sable's the one that talks a lot, Mabel doesn't. Mabel is in the back kind of working on her stuff. By the way, my favorite design, I made an NWO design for Animal Crossing. It's pretty cool. Number 1 female video game character is actually going to be the same as EdT1138. So if you've watched his video, of course, you're already going to know my answer here. But at least I'll show a different cartridge. It is Ms. Pac-Man. You know, this time I'm showing her on the Genesis, but it doesn't matter what system. It's the best of any of the Pac games, of course. And, you know, she's just my favorite character. Well, other than Mario. But Mario's a guy. That wouldn't have worked for this Top 3 Tuesday response. Alright, anyways, on with the show. Alright, I'm showing you guys this because, you've already seen my my Atari 2600 and 7800 collection in my XEGS. But as you can see, I haven't put any of them back up on the shelf yet. This is to prove that, yes, I am lazy. And it's part of being lazy. Yes, I have not done a crappy video game review once again for this week. Although, the reason for that is Crazy Taxi is the game that won. But to be able to tape Crazy Taxi with Molly for us to be playing it, I'm going to have to unhook that and bring it to the downstairs TV. Because all we have up here to sit on is that at the moment. I really need to get myself a bed or a better chair up here, but I've been too lazy to unhook that and bring it downstairs for the moment. But hopefully I'll, get the determination, which really, I shouldn't need the determination. I'll get the determination to unhook that, and we can do our crappy video game review of Crazy Taxi this upcoming Tuesday or sooner, whenever the heck me and Molly feel like it. We'll be able to do it hopefully soon. Alright folks, that's the show for this week. See you next week on another Gaming Penthouse Show.